All right, let's kick this thing off here. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Should be able to hear, see the screen. welcome, Mr. Blue here. TradePhantoms.com. Hopefully everybody's having a good trading week, beginning of the month. Good August, good trading August so far. Today's date is, of course, Thursday, July 7th, 2025. And I'm your guide, your host for the next maybe hour or so. Take you to the do some pre-market prep, take you to the open, maybe take a couple of trades off the open if we have a couple of setups here. Morning's kind of setting up pretty decent here. I'll kick this off with just news. Today being the 7th of August, Thursday, we did have unemployment claims coming out. Bank of England cut, if you noticed that, at 7 a.m. to this morning, Eastern time. Of course, everything here Eastern time. So yeah, unemployment claims came out already, 25 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago, give or take. And then other than that, we don't really have much for the rest of the day in terms of planned economic news. Pretty light, as you can see this week. We get the President Trump speaking later, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time after the market closes. So, that's kind of noteworthy there, but the market will be closed after that. Futures, forex will still be open, of course, crypto. But yeah, no 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time news. So we don't have to really worry about that. Sometimes you'll have those 10 a.m. Hit times in regard to news. But as always, the tariff talk is still in the background as well, so stay diligent on that. On top of all that, too, as well, we had earnings. Well, we still have earnings, I should say. Some of the big caps, a lot of the big caps already reported, right? Pretty decent for the most part, the Mag 7. And we still have a couple left, of course, NVIDIA. Right? We'll see about that. We did have Uber yesterday before the market opened. Yesterday before the market opened. Last night, not much. DraftKings, ELF, no big mega caps here. Lilly, decent one here Thursday before the open. Celsius as well. Gap up on Celsius. I'm not sure if anybody's taking a peek at that. And then other than that, there's really nothing much in terms of a big mega cap that could potentially be a market mover. So we'll see. We'll put a pin on that for next week. Celsius is having a nice little pro breakaway gap up. I was taking a peek at that this morning during just my little self pre-market prep as well. Maybe we can take a peek at that. But I'll just start this off formally as well here as people kind of scramble in. Welcome. Good morning. What's going on, Joe Frank? My man. Future goat at Phantoms already is. My man Joe Frank's in the house on YouTube. I usually bring this up every morning, no matter what. This is a document that Phantoms members have. Okay, so demand and supply, institutional demand and supply, the main strategy of at Phantoms here. Top-down multiple time frame analysis approach. Okay, so we got monthly, weekly, daily. You'll see a lot of orange, yellows, and blues on my charts. Why? Well, these are the color code designations to these specific time frames. So monthly is orange, yellow is weekly, daily is blue. I'm not going to go through the whole checklist here. Okay, y'all can read that out. This is downloadable for the members. A bunch of candlestick names, fancy names, bullish location and context being most important. Okay, typically these bullish candlesticks I want to be looking for in the context of uptrends, in the context of uptrends at demand levels. Okay, higher high, higher lows at demand, pullbacks into demand. Bunch of fancy names for the bearish candlesticks. Context, location again being more important. We're going to be looking at specific locations in these printed candles here. Well, these printed candles in specific locations, typically in context of downtrends and levels of supply. All right, liquidity map, super important here. We talk about this in the class. This is the key here, putting this together via the top-down approach from the high time frames to the small time frames, understanding where you are, right side and right, whether you're in an impulse or correctional wave on higher time frames, drilling it down to the small. That gets dealt with a lot more with time, with classes. Let me go over into Thinkorswim here, futures. What's going on, Mark Wahlberg? Mark, I'm assuming that's Mark Wahlberg. What's going on? And switch over to futures really briefly here, just the major four indexes. Okay, you can see the S&P up 0.62%, NASDAQ 0.79%, we got Dow Jones 0.50%, Russell 2000 up 1%. Okay, Russell's a little bit more stronger today, but again, overall in life, not at all. So, Russell, small caps have been getting no love. So again, the parties where S&P and NASDAQ are. I'll pop up in the daily time frame here. I know it might be a little difficult to see for all these lines here. When I drill down to the smaller time frames, you'll see some refinement in a moment. All right, daily time frame. Tuesday we talked a little bit about how, or if you've been following the channel, or if you're, Phantom member, I kind of start this off just a quick little chat here, just on a daily time frame, get the 20 moving average here, kind of hovering there. We on last week Thursday into Friday had a nice little drop. Okay, finally we needed some kind of volatility increase. We got that. Long story short, here came swiped below a weekly low down in here. Okay, put in a decent little inside, kind of like an engulfing bar. Okay, which I kind of talked about already on Tuesday. If you go watch that recording in the background, right? We don't need to go too much into depth on that. Next thing you know, 2 days later after that, yesterday being, of course, Wednesday, and then Tuesday, we've had just kind of small little slow movement, kind of inside days, if you will. Here's the S&P futures on a daily time frame, by the way. Okay, so even a trade, even a day like yesterday, where we kind of moved a little bit. I kind of messed up SPX just a little bit, kind of chased a little bit too early to the I went short. I was long, then I went short, and then I did not revert back up and flip long SPX. I managed the Qs to do that. Okay, but we never took out the prior day's low, and even if that were the case, okay, we're still inside of even the prior day, meaning Monday's high and low all day yesterday as well. Okay, so we had a decent little bullish day yesterday, not too bad. Okay, and we so far this is today's candle, and as you can see, yes, we are up 0.58%, and we're starting to break away a little bit from this little basing that we had over 2 days here, right? So this kind of held as this bigger drop happened, came into some weekly lows down in there as mentioned. Okay, then we bounced up, we based for 2 days, then we got a little bit of a pop. Okay, we got a little bit of a pop. All right, we have a couple supply levels up here. We get the all-time high here, but just know, okay, path of least resistance. And I don't mean resistance in terms of supply resistance as like a level, okay, but I'm talking about like law of inertia, right? Things in motion tend to stay in that motion. Okay, at least for right now, right? We had a little bit of a volatility increase. Okay, but that just gave a two-day pullback. Okay, 3% off the highs, no big deal. Came into some liquidity sweeping levels. Okay, on weekly lows, and then we're kind of right back up, almost recovering everything that we did last Thursday and Friday. Of course, we're not done here today. Okay, so we will map out a couple levels over here. Just know that this is the all-time high that could easily potentially get taken out, as that has been the case for quite some time now, right? Until it doesn't, right? So we'll check out VIX at the moment, and I'll drop down to the smaller time frames, of course, and we'll refine some of these levels. As always, NASDAQ, switching over here. We got this same thing here. We Thursday, not into Thursday into Friday, daily time frame of NASDAQ futures. Okay, swipe, get the last week's low, great. Okay, then Monday basically recovered that, right? Range, nice little positive COG actually closing on the NASDAQ. Okay, there was something that we call positive COG, green bar taking out red, back off the rising 20p moving average here. Got long some Qs, yesterday as well, right? That kind of saved my butt yesterday. And then we got some falter over here, NASDAQ up 0.75%. We get the all-time highs, 23,845. So, I mean, we're only a couple hundred points, 250 points, sub 250, give or take, right? Plus or minus from the all-time highs in NASDAQ. So, still, again, this bull market is just still continuing as we speak at the moment for now. Okay, brushing off a lot of things here. Earnings good on the Mag 7, and most of the majority of them are already out. So here we are, right? New, close to all-time highs. Switch over to the monthly here, weekly here, daily here, monthly, weekly, daily. It was a great trade yesterday. Great trade day yesterday. Yep, I got our friend Modi, one of our great members here. He nailed that yesterday on that flush lower, legged into some calls and ripped SPX to the upside, which was good. Yeah, so ended up having a nice little like a mid-afternoon kind of late day rally, but late day kind of like just based sideways, which I'll show y'all on a small time frame as we'll go down there. Did I get some Apple? I mean, I own Apple. Well, who doesn't own Apple in their long-term portfolio? But Apple actually is finally starting to break out a bit of its range that it has been for months and months and months and months. So yes, infrastructure deal, $100 billion they're putting into investing into the U.S., etc. Coming out of that news yesterday on Apple. So we need some kind of something to break this thing out potentially one way or the other. Earnings didn't do it. Okay, so there we go. Apple, broke out. Well, now we have a pre-market quote that's breaking out right now outside of this range here. I guess I'll get to this in a moment. We're going to go cover some VIX. But Apple, if you think about it, I still own it. Don't get me wrong, in my long-term IRA and all that kind of stuff, right? But we got a nice bump, but it's not. We'll have to see if this is going to have some continuation, right? So Apple's a little bit behind on the AI forefront there. Okay, but just map out your levels and things like that. Just I don't want to get too crazy with this because this could just be kind of like a fakey breaky here, come back in range and it could kind of settle. Okay, but if we start to really get some momentum and we get some volume coming into this, that could be a thing where Apple could potentially start to maybe play ball like the other Mag 7 tickers and maybe trickle up into maybe get into the area of its all-time high. Okay, we'll see. After a long basing typically the longer that it bases, after you do typically break out one way or the other. Okay, and of course the higher time frames are still up. Apple's still one of the top dogs overall. The breakout would be more high probability to the upside, but we have levels over here too that we have to deal with. April highs, monthly highs, some gap fills here that we need to absorb in terms of supply. Okay, so always look up and left on the monthlies and the weeklies, and we still have some stuff over here up left that we have to absorb. So we could still kind of pull back, so you can still work on this thing, right? I mean, yesterday, don't get me wrong, I'm not downplaying it so much, but it had a nice 3, 4, 5% day coming up, but it really didn't. It really look at Celsius, like something like Celsius. Let me just show you something real quick, just to show you a comparison, right? CELH, right? Celsius had earnings, okay, but in regard to did it break something and really break out? Okay, Celsius. Of course, this is an earnings catalyst. Apple just had its earnings, but not much happened after that. This is up to 23%, snapping. All right, snapping multiple levels here, right? So, we'll see. Apple, I'm not trying to downplay it so much. I know it's a heavy topic right now, or a big topic right now, but finally something needed to happen for Apple, for traders to kind of get back in the game on this thing and trade it, right? Day trade, swing trade, long-term investing, so on and so forth. All right, so we'll see. We'll see. As always, I'm just going to try to trade the tape, the setups, as always. That said, I got the monthly, the weekly, the daily here. I'll drop down to the smaller time frames here, which is going to have us looking at the 60-minute time frame here, 30-minute here, 5-minute here, 2-minute time frame here. Pop up in the 1-hour time frame. S&P futures here. All right, here's current price. Okay, so you can see up 0.62%. And in Thinkorswim, this is the gray space here of the overnight session. Just before I delete this was the prior days Globex high, Globex low here. Yesterday in the morning was a little, it was not really moving much. We did one little flush lower. Okay, I bought some calls, made a little bit of money, then it flushed lower a little bit. I bought some puts, made a little bit of money, came back. Okay, ended up holding these puts stupidly. Okay, and then I had to flip long on Nasdaq. Okay, but the point that I'm trying to just make here really briefly is we were inside of the Globex high, Globex low. Then we, couldn't even break the Globex low, put in a positive COG bar. Then we had continuation yesterday up into some supply. We had a high gamma node up here too. Then it just based for the rest of the day. Okay, then as you can see overnight here, ding, 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 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, last night evening, right, 6 p.m. Eastern, right. This is the rally that we have here so far, right. So we had a couple levels before I update this. Above the Globex high yesterday, we had this area here, which we were looking to take some profit off of for longs, and I tried to do a little bit of a little baby short here, no big deal, made a little something here, nothing too crazy, no fall through, but bull market, right. So we had this level up here, 6,396, where there was a bit of a supply level there, okay, and overnight that kind of based right below it and then took that out. Then we had another level second up here, 64.25, okay, which was the better one, of course, higher up. Okay, as I made a note here, this was more aggressive, okay, as the level wasn't as super awesome and fresh or prime, okay, and of course the location is of course in the middle. This is going to be higher. All right, so the better one up here was 64.25. That ended up being kind of the Globex high for today. So I don't know if any Phantom members took this one in or this one. Okay, if you took this one, you might have got stopped out. That was more aggressive. This one, 6425, in terms of a mirror inversion short, as we were making new highs here. Okay, breaking out away from means. We just pulled back already on that. Okay, and that's what made the Globex high now. So the Globex high, the overnight session, is up here now, which is what, roughly, give or take, 64, 26, 50 plus or minus, right? Does that make sense? We already had that 64 supply level mapped out to the left yesterday with Phantoms members. Okay, here's the new Globex low now today. As we speak right now, there's the new Globex low. All right, I'm going to just clean this up just a little bit here. Okay, and just I'll keep the box on here to represent, to see how y'all can see kind of what happened here. But I'll just update this. And then the strategy is, if we were to break the Globex low, which is right here, do I have an institutional level of demand below the Globex low? So if I look down at the left, we have a couple of demand zones here. Okay, we have a bit of a decent little base breakout yesterday. Okay, right below that. So I just want to map that out really briefly. This is going to be the S&P futures. Already looking at that yesterday. This is where I was mentioning how we had a positive COG. Somebody in the group called this positive COG out on the 30-minute time frame. because the team is just amazing at Phantoms these days. Positive COG, 30-minute time frame, beautifully put. Okay, this is where we got some cues, etc. But the point that I'm trying to make here for today, okay, is that this did leave an basing impulse right below that Globex low, as that was the breakout yesterday where the S&Ps and the Nasdaq really shows that said direction. Okay, so I'm gonna box this out here today, and I'm gonna drop down even the small time frames and show y'all that basing impulse right inside of this level. Okay, well, it's well, you can't really see it on the 60, so let me drop down. All right, and it's going to be this little guy right here. So you might want to mark this on your charts. Okay, there's a little bit of an basing impulse. Okay, that breakout segment there. So we got 6-3, call it 5-4, 6-3, 5-4. This would be a Globex trap long bullish. S&P futures. Yeah. Let me back up here. Go over to back to the 60. This is yesterday's low. I would also, we can reference, of course, this area here too. Kind of obvious. Kind of retest this area here. Just be careful in the event that we do get another volatility spike. If that's the case, watch out for this daily low here. There's a daily low right here, and there's going to be a couple levels here. 6292 right there. That's an obvious level, so could be a potential little liquid. If we get some volatility spike, could be a potential liquidity sweep right here. I'm looking at this 6292 right below this level as well. Okay, this is a daily low. First week. Obviously reference this area here. So if we get down into the extremes down in here, there could be a little bit of a sweep right here too in this area. So you can take a peek at this level here. Could be a G-trap long here too. Our good friend Joe Frank is putting in some work there in regard to camo, which is important there. All right, so this is 63. He just found out that ES6355 on the S&P futures, S&P futures 6355 is aligning with the SPX 63 plus 6380 plus positive gamma node. All right, 6380, 6380. 380. All right, so put a pin on that. All right, so reference these levels. Okay, watch out for a quick sweep right down here. Low. And I could see how this level might be like pretty obvious, and we swipe lower. This is kind of where I want to be a little bit more heavier down here. All right, G-trap short. If we were to break Globex high, well, we already tested this level one time now, right? Right. You can see over here, if I look current price up and left, okay, we had the supply level. Well, that already got tagged right there. So the next one up right here is going to be what, 64.52. Now again, we can still reference this area. We just tagged and dipped lower. Okay, I'm going to get to the options depth information as well, as Joe Frank is segueing us into that addition, right? So we can still reference this area, which offer a bit of a 6440 swipe right above that level. We also have that 6452. There's another little drop-based drop right there up here as well. Then we get the all-time highs right there. So that's pretty much the only thing that we have to the upper left. Okay, there's only one level that just got tagged. Okay, a couple of hours ago. 2, and then the all-time high. All right, so if long, TP up here, okay? And then I'm going to get to the options depth in a moment after I do NASDAQ futures really briefly, okay? So that's S&P. This is recorded. You could reference that if you need to rewatch this. NASDAQ, just looking at the time, we have the market open in about 20 minutes, and I got a lot to cover. I can never finish everything. Get straight to the point here, right? Kind of finally broke out there. Took some long NASDAQ yesterday. Great. Now we have a new Globex high here. All right, that's for today. Here's a new Globex low. For today. All right, we had a level here that was aggressive. Okay, that ended up, got a little reaction out of there. Base. We finally popped that, came up to the second. We're actually in this second one right now as we speak. So not much of a reaction out of there. Right? Does that make sense? So even with news, everything that's going on, we got rallied. NASDAQ came up into this little level right here, and it's absorbing even right now as we speak. Right now we're a little bit away from the mean, so we can still come down a little bit lower. Okay, so just be patient on that. All right, but for a Globex trap, okay, we need to break this Globex low, which is right there. And I'm looking for a level of institutional band right below that. Institutional band right below that. I already have a couple levels mapped out lower down here. All right, so y'all can take a look at that. Watch out for that daily low. If I were to compare apples to apples, oranges to oranges with S&Ps and NASDAQ, this is NASDAQ futures, by the way. Here's that daily low. Feeling a lot better, baby. Let's get my mojo back today after being sick of anyways, too much information for the internet. Nobody needs to know all that. Daily low there. Y'all can't see that. Brighten that up a little bit. All right, reference this area here. In the event that we get a volatility spike, okay, Globex low. However, similarly to the S&P, I'm going to investigate this little breakout level right down here. I already know that this is impulse, basic impulse, fresh guy right here. All right, that's the breakout basically, right there. So 23,300 on the NASDAQ futures. This is a nice little area here for a potential G trap in the event that NASDAQ futures does break that Globex low. Now I'm gonna go to VIX and SPYs and SPX. I'm gonna talk about a little something. Joe Frank's already given us some valuable information in the chat there on YouTube. Good, thank you for that. But also, there's another thing that I want to speak about just a little bit briefly here that I noticed this morning as I'm doing my prep for the SPX options chain. Let me finish one thought first. There's a big sold straddle today. It's making the market makers long gamma at the 63.50 handle on SPX. That probably just sounds like a different language to a lot of folks. If you don't know what I just said, learn. It's powerful stuff. We'll get to that in a moment. But there goes that level of demand right below that Globex low right there for a potential G trap. Reference these levels. Yes, there's a level right there. A little obvious. The same thing in the S&P. If we start to really pick up some volatility in the event that we do swipe, get a bigger swipe lower down in here, I want to reference those lower levels. Okay, that's a bit of an obvious level right there, right? So we can come a little bit more lower for. I'm always looking for those liquidity sweeps. In the event that we do break the Globex high and go higher, well, we have to be careful with shorting this market still. It's Thursday, Friday, got a nice little drop. It came 2 days, no big deal. Came into a weekly low swipe, and next thing you know, now we're back up. Okay, so just be careful with that. But we have the all-time high level right here. So it's always a little challenging to short all-time highs because it could just hard to put your stop loss. I've been talking about that for weeks. So I need to spend some time on that right now. We do have a little bit of a level right up here too, where we could have a G trap short as we're approaching this all-time high level, of course, right? So I'd be remiss not to bring this level up. 23,770, 23,770. G trap short. Okay, but of course, we already know that it's going to be counter trend, right? So around this area here, of course, I don't need to draw a line there. There's an all-time high right there, 845, right, with a 23,000 in front of that. All right, so we're kind of absorbing this level. Watch out for this little mid-level right there. I had to go to a very small time frame to see that supply formation, and anytime that I'm on a 5-minute time frame right here, okay, that 23,707, you got to be very cautious with that. All right, there's supply there, very small time frame. I don't see a drop-based drop or on a 60 or 30 or 4 hour. So it's a very, very, very small time frame. But definitely want to put this on the map, 23,700. Potentially if this thing just swipes up and just tries to find some kind of supply a bit there above. So long story short there, this level, let me just update this, right? Because this thing that was aggressive anyways, kind of got taken out, right above there. All right, so clean that up. So we still can reference this area here, which we're absorbing. All right, but we got the better levels up here. All right, so if long TP. And as we kind of get stretched up here, this is where you kind of could take a what's called a front side mean revert short up into around or any of these levels. Okay, for a quick little mean revert short in the event that we don't just body slam this new all-time high, into a new one. All right, but we're already kind of up and away from from VWAP, etc. So if we spike up here pretty quickly, we could have a potential setup for a mean revert, and that's going to take me to the SPX where I want to prepare us for the upside of the downside. But first, let me just do VIX really briefly. VIX, where you at? Always looking at VIX, volatility index. VIX down, market up. VIX up, market down. A lot more to that in volatility, but just trying to keep it simple for right now. VIX is down 3.5%, 4% sub so far pre-market. As you can see, we had a little bit of a VIX spike. Blah blah blah. We've been talking about that. Be careful, be careful. As VIX is low, markets are complacent. Watch out, because think anything, right? Pop, volatility spike, and Phantoms members are trained to be aware and alert of that, right? Picked up some UV, XY, getting some long vol here. All right, picked up some, dumped them a little bit there. Now we're back down, low VIX, VIX down, market up, VIX up, market down. We're also going to map this out on the smaller time frames. So I'm going to bring the VIX up here. This is an internals page. Okay, and you can see yesterday, I bit the bullet here on this little VIX spike not taking out the all-time high. I debriefed the team on that yesterday. That was my fault. So VIX, we had a drop down yesterday. This was yesterday high, yesterday low, and as you can see yesterday, VIX inevitably, eventually, after 10:30 Eastern, after the first hour, markets picked a direction. VIX down, market up, all day yesterday, right? So overnight tonight, we have overnight high here, overnight low here, represented by those gray lines. All right, and I just kind of pin, last time I saw it, just so I could see some update, right? It's quiet right here, right? VIX chilling down here, and I pin the overnight low to see, okay, if it grinds lower, and just like yesterday, using an example, this could be bullish for the market. If we spike higher, it's sustain higher, okay, not just a quick little spike. Okay, if we spike higher, sustain higher, and break the overnight high and kind of sustain that, that could be a little bit more bearish, okay, for the market, at least intraday wise, right? Just for the day, right? So, yesterday got a little too a little too excited on that negative GX below. Phantom members will know on that little VIX. So remember, it could have a little bit of a spike. We want to see if that calms down or if it sustains. Okay, that did not sustain, made new lows, and continued to go lower as the market's grinded higher. Okay, VIX super important there. Okay, SPYs. Daily time frame here. I'm going to do SPX really quickly, noteworthy stuff there, and I'm going to go through the tickers, mega cap, because we got some decent little setups here off yesterday's close. Tesla gave us a wide range belt hold bar off the rise off this flat 200 PM moving average here. So Tesla's on the dock. Managed to snag Tesla yesterday. That's the one good thing I did. Just want to take a peek at this real quick. Semi's still on fire. All right, SPYs. SPY ETF of the S&P 500. How are you getting those alignments, Joe Frank? Just look at the price points on. Just look at the time. Just look at the price of, say, S&P futures, right? Or look, the SPX, right? He's aligning the SPX price points of positive and negative gamma nodes, okay? And he's taking the SPX price and saying, okay, if SPX has a 63, I'm going to use 63.50 as an example because there's this sold strata, which we're going to talk about in a moment. Okay, watch. I'll show you in a moment here. Let's do it right now, right? So here's spots, daily time frame. Okay, decent little positive CG close yesterday, right? Shout out to Modi, man. Did not take that bait on that swipe lower, man. Beautiful, my man Modi. So we have this breakaway gap here, right? So yesterday's close here, we're gapping up. Okay, now we're gapping up. I can just use this. There's other ways to get this, but I'll just save time. Gapping up in about 10 minutes if this holds 0.60%. So I'm going to take that, go to SPX, just take a drawing tool here, go from here. Close yesterday up 0.60, give or take, plus or minus, right? So that means implied open, give or take, 63.80, 63.85. Okay, 80, 85. Those are the key numbers there, just quoting last twos, right? 63.80, 63.85. Go back to the options depth data, okay? And, I just scaled into this, and I'm going to be looking at, okay, 63.85 is about right here. So we want to see, okay, what we're opening up into, Okay. Now, let's just say this for a second here, right? Let's say we have this level of demand. Okay. Let's say we have this positive gamma node, which we do, right? You see this blue right here, 6350. We have this blue positive gamma node. So as you know, we're gapping up into 6380. Let's just say, for example, we were to come down into the 60 as prices coming down. Okay, let's say we're coming down into this 6350 where we have a high concentration of sold options where the market makers are bought options or long gamma. So we're going to take that price, 6350, go to SPX, right? And I go to 6350, okay, and see when that price was there at the last time, okay, 6350, and basically it was just basically yesterday's, yesterday's close or yesterday's high, okay, right? Does that make sense? So if I go to the now S&P futures and I say, okay, what is SPX 6350 price point equivalency, drawing the parallels to the S&P futures, okay, because it's going to be a different price because the futures is not spot, it's a futures market, right? So sometimes the price is higher, sometimes the price is lower. Usually it's typically higher. All right. So if I go to yesterday, so basically that's going to be about right here, give or take. Okay, so that 6350 positive gamma node right there is actually going to be at or around this area, close to this Globex low in S&P futures. Okay, does that make sense? Now, there's another level down in here that we just mapped out, right? And I can go in and say, okay, this is going to be yesterday about breakout was about 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so if I go to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on SPX, what are we even talking about? You got to learn, bro. You got to learn. This is higher level stuff. I know most folks that are probably watching this channel are used to the basic trendline BS, basic stuff that's out there on this, but this is professional high level stuff here. And I'm not just saying that to be cool. I'm just letting y'all know. If you know, you know. Market maker gamma exposure. All right, so it's controlling SPX for the most part these days. So if you don't know, you better find out. Well, you get smacked up on trading. Let's see. So let's see. We got what was I saying? 11 o'clock breakout, and this would be equivalent to just track the times, folks. Right? Track the time. So if I look at the 11 o'clock, so this here, so the 50 is up here. That is the positive gamma node for market makers here. All right, so I'll map that out. But you see how I mapped out the blowback, this right here at 11 a.m. Eastern, give or take, right here. This is the G trap in S&P futures, and this is SPX price 6330 handle. Okay, see how I did that? This is recorded, so the team can go back and check this out, right? All right, so this is the G trap level in ES futures. Okay. Now remember, we're gapping up to 80, so we have this 50 gamma node here, retest of previous high. We have a massive gamma here. Okay, and that's a positive gamma. So as we gap up and we potentially come down to retest this 6352 handle, 50 handle where that gamma is, okay, where that sold straddle is, that could provide some demand coming down in here. Now, in regard to this, I already investigated this. I wish I had more time on this, but I'm trying to make it short and sweet, but I need more time on this. But I went through this, okay, and I went to see exactly who is selling this straddle, okay. So professional traders, okay, because if we could sift through these customers, professional traders have a lot of sold calls up here, up 64 and above. Okay, now customers are sold calls, market makers. This is providing positive gaps. So sold calls from customers, professional customers, that is. So professionals, traders are not looking for the S&P to really, SPX to not go too far up above this 54.30, 54.25. That's the biggest gamma node right there. Okay, now the market makers are bought that gamma. Market makers have bought that. So that's going to be what's called positive. They bought those calls as customers sold those calls. That's creating that positive gamma. Okay. Now, if you notice over here, the market makers have bought these calls and bought these puts. These are bought calls, bought puts, but these are all customers who are sold this. And I wanted to see who did this, right? Who is selling this? Okay. So there is some sold straddle here, and a lot of that is going to be non-professional customers here, where this is a sold put, sold call. So this is a sold straddle. So if we gap up and we come and we can't break above the 64, we start to come lower. Okay, anybody who sold this straddle, as we start to come back lower, we actually was just talking about this yesterday. They're gonna most of the a lot of those. What's gonna happen is we're gonna have a contraction coming down involved, and the straddle is gonna be coming what's called at the money. So a lot of those traders are most likely, well, they probably should start to take some profit, take some profit, take some profit, take some profit. You don't need to understand that for right now, but just know that anything blue and green, as we come down, if price is above it, we start to come down into it. Okay, that is going to provide some demand. Okay, provide some demand in the market as market makers have to buy in to the price point coming down into that. So that takes hold into the 63.50. Okay, so there's a lot of action right there that sticks out as we have say a sold straddle. Okay, we were just talking about that because we were talking about iron flies yesterday in the advanced options class. Okay. So if you don't know what I'm talking about right now, we do cover that in class. I'm trying to make it as short and sweet as possible. There's going to be some kind of demand reaction at 63.50. Okay, we do have some negative GEX here. Pay attention to this little gamma node right there, 63.80. Shout out Modi. There was a negative GEX. I got too excited on negative GEX. And then there's a little bit of a positive gamma node right in there. And then that's why it's 6,300. That was yesterday. Okay, and then I messed up a little bit of a trade there. Okay, so watch out for in the event that we do break above 63.80. Okay, if we're above that and we come back below, we could 63.80 could be used as some demand as well. But 64 up to 6,400. 6,400 up to 64.25. There's going to be some decent supply coming in as market makers will have to sell as prices are coming up into that. Okay, advanced topic. All right, we do advanced things at Phantoms, and if you don't know what I'm saying there, get the class. Get the class. All right, get you covered there. I just got to keep it moving. We got 2 minutes for open here. And let me see the best thing. I'll try my best to get through as much tickers as I possibly can here. Qs. Okay, of course, we get the gap up. All right, well, matter of fact, before I move on from SPX, let me just map this out real quick. I wanted to take a peek at this. Hold on. All right, 6,400. We also have some supply up here too, right? There's a 60-minute supply up here. So watch out if we break a little bit above. So you might want to maybe front run the 64, but also go a little bit above. All right, so a lot of heavy gamma, negative, positive gamma up here. Okay, so there's gonna be some supply up here. All right, a lot of the professional customers have a lot of sold calls up here at 6,400 up into the 64.25 handle. All right, so if we happen to rally up here, okay, market makers. As we gapping up at 80, as we rally up, market makers would have to sell into this, as this is going to be a positive gamma node for them, market maker wise. All right, so interesting here. Nice and clean today, a lot better than yesterday. I would love to answer your question, Crimsy, but it's hard. It's difficult to you can't explain it in one word. It's market maker gamma GEX exposure. Market makers have to make a market, and they hold orders on their books, so they have to be zero delta, and they have to hedge. So they use another product like futures to hedge. All right, but it's a big it's a long topic. You need to know options. You need to know Greeks, okay, and you need a tool like options or GEX that lets you know what customers are doing versus what market makers are doing. All right, but it's a heavy topic. That class was like 4 hours, and we did multiple sessions on it. So, unfortunately, to answer your question simply, it's market maker exposure of price movement, and how much and how little exposed are they? And they need to hedge. They need to hedge that because they want to be delta neutral in most cases. Delta neutral. Probably confused you even more there, right? Some of the folks. What just made it even worse. So, yeah, there's a process and all that kind of stuff, right? Just opened up. Take a quick peek at internals. A lot of decent gaps, but let's just be patient here. Hold on. Let me fix this. Yeah, semis are hot right now. Still, man. Microsoft, interesting gap. And holding the 20 so far. Coinbase decent gap. Microsoft decent gap, holding the small time frame 200. Get some internals real quick. We got VIX on VIX. VIX on VIX lower. Voldy positive. Had an extreme. Positive -3 is extreme. We're at +3, so that's extreme. Just be patient still on this. I'm actually hoping we just fade lower into that 50 handle on SPX. Advanced declines up to the extremes there, not too bad. All right, that's internals. Let me just refresh this. Make sure this is up to date. Amazon wide range bar off open. Amazon was a beast yesterday. Amazon was. Netflix. Anybody snag in some Netflix? That level is Phantoms is doing quite well. Blessing in the house, blessing us. All right, let me put this back on. Market makers. Oh, man, this thing kills my computer. Come on. Failure on Microsoft. Tesla. Amazon wide range bar off open. Nice close yesterday on the 20. Beautiful location. Amazon has wide range bar off open. That's long call alley. Tesla Nvidia. I'm loving Tesla how it has a wide range bar off the open, positive COG back above the rising 20, above the 20 EMA, and Tesla is giving us a nice positive COG on the 2-minute time frame here too. Not much of a squeeze on this. I already checked this out. I'm gonna get long call Tessie here. Yeah, I see your question, Jace. Yeah, let's cover that in advanced futures. Not to not answer your question, but I know you're a member, so we can cover that a bit more advanced with some time. As you can see right now, my computer's frozen because this restreaming on multiple platforms just slows the computer down, and this is a good computer. But anyways, whatever. Shut up and trade. All right. Yes. Long call Tesla. Amazon as well, looking juicy. Off the open, the vid. Let's trade 321. I could maybe pick up 325 for a 36 delta. Not bad here. All right. All right, long call Tesla here. I'm going to pick up the 325 long call for a day trade here. All right. Copy and paste this premium chart over here. I'll just put it right here. Let's name this another account. No, options is not just swing. You could day trade them, you could swing trade them, you could long-term trade them, you can invest, you can use them for protection and wealth. They're very diversified. There's a fallacy where that you can't day trade options. I literally do it like almost every day of my life. I've been doing it for quite some time now, many years. So you got to know how to do it, obviously, but if you know what you're doing and you know how the product works, you can be anything. You can do anything. You can day trade these, swing trade them. It's just people don't know what they're doing, and then because they suck at it, they spread false fallacies about it. Since day one, I've started trading options. You can't day trade them; it's impossible. What are you talking about? One of my good friends is one of the best option day traders I've ever seen in my life. Right. So let me see. So Tesla. Yeah, everybody has their style, right? Which is important as part of becoming a professional trader, understanding who you are and your style. That's, I think, majority of problems with a lot of retail traders. And it might take some time to find that, and that's okay. Netflix positive CFG, get the wide range bar off here. Shout out Blessing. Trying to do some things here on that. You see Amazon. Let's see. Maybe put some pullback orders in on Amazon's decent right here already. I mean, what's the stop from us to pick up the 225 for a buck here? We're kind of coming in a VWAP here. Amazon long call. So here's a premium chart. NVIDIA. NVIDIA is looking beaut. This is Amazon. TSM. I see you, Mark Wahlberg. Am I trading off essentials? Essentials is the only way to trade. It's demand and supply, brother. Crimsy. Essentials is demand and supply. Institutional demand and supply. Of course, everything is institutional demand and supply. Now, I use a couple other tactics to help confluence certain things. Indeed, yes, sir. Okay. Indeed. All right, there goes Amazon already with a pump there. We could already start to TP some of this. All right. Even if you don't trade demand and supply because you're using some other thing like a trend line thing or whatever's going on in the internet these days with ICT or whatever that is. I don't even know. I don't even give up. Right. But that's still demand and supply. So understanding where the institutional levels of demand and supply is the key. And you have to know where those are. Right. So even if I'm using a trend line or something, whatever that is, right, it's still demand and supply. That's what you have to understand. TP some Amazon here. Of course, I always miss an easy one. NVIDIA. Anybody snagging NVIDIA already here? Blues are buys, red are sells here. Scale out a bit more Amazon here, okay? I hate when that happens. Tesla on its VWAP. I think, yeah, a little bit more of a push on Amazon. Follow through. NVIDIA looking juicy. Hey, there's Nick Klaus. I think I'm pronouncing your name right. Tesla don't fall through so far. Microsoft had failure. Immediate failure. The 200 there. Be patient on this. And like I mentioned, I wanted SPYs selfishly so to kind of come down a little bit here. S&Ps to come down. So I don't know how Tesla's strength might hold up if the S&Ps do indeed. ADM Payne. I love the way Pinsky speaks. He talks like a real trader, and he is. Payne. Ooh, Payne. Indeed. It's actually a bit of an island gap, too. That's an island gap. So if S&Ps get down to that 50, which I don't get, this could be a potential entry, like a sweep right here, kind of trap on AMD. Semis are calming down a little bit there, right? AMD is interesting over here. I can see them swiping right below here, folks. Just real quick. Keep a note on that for later. Save that for later. Put it in the fridge. That's all it is, Luke. That's you. Luke, bottom line. Monthly weekly daily correlation with a breakaway is the best. Alignment on monthly weekly daily down to small time frames. Wait for everything to align and snap. Good. Boom. But what does that look like? And how do I trade it? Well, we have training and I do it live with y'all in here. It's still looking good. So let's see if we got anything changes here. Broadcom holding doing its thing there. Whew, we are already in negative Gex alley right here. This is a tough one here, but we do have a bit of a. We could try to attack this to try to see if we can get closer down to that SPX level lower. We got to VIX up a little bit, nothing crazy, but this is a bit of a breakdown here, okay? So what's SPX trading at? Tesla pushing back a little bit. 75. Come on. Come on. Here we go. I'm not coming in here. I get some puts. Coming in a little baby level here. Tesla pushing back on us there, right? Down almost $1 on those on the premium there. Looking at SPX, say puts. So you don't want to get too far away from the 50. So if I say pick up, say the 63.40, they're going for about $4. $4. It's about an 18 delta. It's gonna be a bot put. Want to be a bit careful with this one here. A bit of a breakdown on VWAP, but be extremely careful. I want to see if we can try to get down to that positive Gimino down here at the 50. All right, so this is going for about $4.10 here, give or take. It's gonna be a bot put SPX. This could pull back on us. So let me do this first, because this could pull back. It's 10 points lower below the 50, 63.40 strike. And let me just put that right here. All right, now this could push back on us, pull back. All right, so you can scale in here, and this could potentially pull back down into the $3, maybe like even the $3 mark potentially if we just kind of like test VWAP back up on a bit of a pullback to the upside. This is a bot put, so it's going to be bearish. Okay, so if I were to buy this, get in this now, this is the bot put 63.40 strike. Okay, but this could push back into VWAP at that $3 mark there. Okay, so I just got in some right there. Let me grab it in my other account, but we could pull back again into that level. So what's this, SPX? And want to keep this on a short leash. $63.40. All right, so I'll put a pullback here at $3 on premium here. This is the put premium chart. All right, if that put premium gets down to $3, I'm gonna leg in another one here. Okay. TP some Amazon. Nope, this is not long cost, this is long put. Gotta be extremely careful with this NVIDIA. Nice pump. Ooh, AVGO, look, easy one. We gotta TP some Amazon. I gotta dump some Amazon. I'm gonna dump some Amazon here. Tesla basing, AVGO, beautiful. Microsoft wins, SPY's down. Apple trying to hold it up. That was an Amazon TP. I got that limit in SPX. So it's a long put counter trend. Long put is bearish. That's counter trend, right? Put sell here. This is a sell. And you got bearish. Even though I bought a put, that's still a bearish trade. I got a limit order somewhere up here, which would be in SPX for a leg in. Keeping down a short leash there. Yeah, you see Q's already kind of claiming its daily VWAP. So noteworthy there. What strike was this? 63.40 strike. And you got a $3 limit. All right, and that would be that. Otherwise, I would have to cut. If we smack higher, Q's, Amazon TP, Q's breaking out those SPXs. Got to be patient with them, but they're most likely going to be wrong. Q's are trying to dominate here. But let's see if we can scale out some more. Man, AVGO, easy one. Easy monies. There's somebody who's, I already know there's somebody on planet Earth that's short AVGO. Like, just like, what? Another new high again? God damn it. When is this going to stop? Should we just get long, bro? Damn. Trying to catch all time. Trying to catch the high, man. Broadcom, man. Good luck, pal. See you at the free soup line. Bro, Amazon TP. Damn, AVGO. Easy. Let's snag some Amazon pesos from Bezos here. Come on, Tesla. Yeah, you see that, Joe Frank, right? So it's very concentrated right now on a few select mega cap stocks. Amazon being one of them, NVIDIA, AVGO, also like Microsoft not doing good. And that's a big one, right? So Apple, right? Apple holding bit up here too. We got one, actually Amazon's being the best one here at the moment. And, we're getting this, we're getting this. I missed it yesterday. It was so easy. Aiden called us out. Man, we got some Phantoms members that are just better than me. That's good. There goes Tesla bid. All right, this filled. So I want to be extremely careful with this. Let me snag it in my other account. Make sure you decrease pretty significantly in ticker Amazon. Okay, so I got these for like 3. So you see it's floating down here. Tesla trying to do its thing there. AVGO new highs. Q's new highs if NTP some all on calls or bullish. Or bullish Q's. Be a little bit patient on SPYs and SPX. Working a little hedge on SPX here. So again, yep, reminds me a little bit of yesterday. We had a little bit of spike, but not sustained. So we'll see. So these bot puts in SPX are exposed right now. So I want to be extremely careful with that trade as Q's popping on new highs here, right? High. We're in a tro right now. It's crazy. We have positive gamma above, positive gamma below. We're in a tro. S&P futures on its VWAP. Very concerning for bearishness in the SPX. So I want to be a little patient. See if we get some falter off that. If we get some falter off this, I'm just going to have to cut those SPXs and see, just work on those bullish trades there, but be a little patient on that. AMD Island Gap, yeah, we talked about that a little bit there. Island Gap. This thing didn't even push lower. And Pinsky, man, he knows the deal. This thing couldn't even get lower off that. AMD, beauty. Robinhood was good too, breakaway. Meta creeping. AVGO Gonzo. Just trying to work out his direction here. All right, choose Gonzo. Cut these spots. Just get out of these SPXs. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. Just gonna get out of these. It's the second day. Got smacked in the. Get out of the SPX. Just caught him. All right, SPX. That's a loss. Tesla trying to do its thing. I was tested that at Tesla popped up. This popped up into the 260s here. Those some TPs. Tesla trying to pop there. And SPX. I just stopped myself out. I didn't break any structure. I'll just get right back in on that. Yep. That just happened. Some TPs and Tesla there. I might have just got my favorite bar put on me here on SPX. It's immediate failure, didn't break any structure. Unload some of Tesla. Yeah, sometimes annoying Pinsky. No. And AMD's bottom tail island gap off of the 20 EMA, beautiful setup. Beautiful. SPX is weird right now. Come on. Where's PLT? Probably up. Probably trading 1,000. Tesla TPs. Dude, SPX is so annoying right now. I'm a little funked with the SPX. I'm not happy about that at the moment. And yesterday it trapped me into a corner. Data decay. There's TPs on Testies here. So the stop loss on SPX. Change here. We still got that down here. Do something, man. Man, lately for negative Gex, shit has not been moving, man, in negative Gex. It's kind of pissing me off a little bit here and there. Emotional, but it's kind of annoying. This negative Gex, man, it's just not fall through. So try again here. But these, getting bearish, we get these swipes, we just rip higher. So these negative Gex regimes just getting any little baby demand zone and trying to work off of it. So just gonna be patient on that. Meta and Amazon still looking decent there. So I add to work on some strength here. So you can add to potentially Amazon. It's on a new high right now, so we just missed a little bit of a pullback. So I would want to roll into another contract to lower my delta. Definitely don't have enough time to talk about that right now. Or I just swipe myself out. It didn't even break the high on day. So like mix up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down. Qs. AMD on fire. I just want to see where the NASDAQ futures are. Pull the trigger on NASDAQ long calls. Get this positive COG here. Got the first 30-minute bar print in. And let's see. It's a little annoying right now. Attack's trying to be TP some more Amazon. Yeah, just went up to 240 handle on the premium. Let me snag some more Amazon. Try to take a second shot at this SPX. If you didn't cut it, I ended up doing that. You didn't trying to tickle into profit right now on these. Kind of a little annoying here in SPX today. Maybe if I can roll down my delta on these, this will probably be wrong too. We'll just we'll tickle down and probably just find some kind of random demand and just pop up. It's just going to happen. Let's see. A point and a half, nothing too crazy. Stop myself out, but 335. Now they're starting to cook Mark Wahlberg. Try to roll these. If you're still in the 40s, you could TP a little bit of those. You wanted to try to get into and roll your delta, you can potentially pick up the 63.35. Just rolling the delta just a little bit here. All right. So I cut it for no really. It didn't even break structure. So that's the thing there. I like cooking. They went up to 6. So just that VWAP. So what was my mistake in SPX today, right? I stopped up, never broke the new impulse, new low correction, never broke that. Clipped out, a little bit of a fall through here. All right. Yep, indeed, Joe Frank, right? 50. Where's the 80s? Yep. Patel. Brush Patel. Yep, we spoke about that this morning, which was good. Yep, Mark Wahlberg. You got it, brother. Yep. And we already went through the process of the all this, right? So yeah, I mean, don't want to chase the long puts bearish into this level. This might not be the greatest level to get long off of. It's okay, don't get me wrong, right? And that could work out beautifully. It could to rise to 20 here too. There's a demand level there, right? So I don't want to chase these long puts into that, right? Or bearish into this. So be patient with that. So we're planning this level here. Somebody had mentioned like 4 hour. Coming into a bit of an impulse, facing impulse number 4 right now on this. NVIDIA given a fairly decent entry there, here. Probably AMD as well. Let's see, we got NVIDIA. The vid trying to pick up a little something here. I'd wait for see if we can get a positive COG back over the 5 here to give you some more confluence. Tesla pushing back on us here. Damn, SPX. Let's start my SPX. TP up there. Test. All right, so the SPX, if we were to get down into 6350, that gamma note there, I'll price out, see what the 6380 long call would look like in the event to be dropped down into that positive gamma node with that retest that we were just talking about. Right, the famous 6350, and I'll look at to see what the 6380 strike call would be potentially priced at if SPX were to get down to 6350. All right, so right now these are going for 550. Let's go for 550. And if we were to get down, or going for 5 now, we're moving. Let's just do 5, 490. If we were to get down to the 6350 handle, this would be about 250 less, right? So this would be priced at about $2.50, give or take. And what I would recommend, especially this week, with the little bit of a little kind of whipsaw here and there, not aggressive, but it's kind of just, I would suggest to price out these options to have your max loss be total premium loss. Okay. So So, if you can fathom like $2.50 loser for, right, you could try to even put a limit in order on this to see if you can get these for like maybe $2, maybe $1.80. Okay, you want to be too cheap with them, but it's right now, if we hit a little bit more sooner than later this morning, maybe before 12, give or take, as a generalized rule, you might be able to get these for like $2.50, maybe $2, give or take. All right, that would be the 63.80 strike call, but we would have to touch the SPX. We have to drop down a little bit here, 15 points, 16, 14, 15 points from 63.64 to down to 63.50. Okay, and then you can potentially pick up the 63.80 strike call. Okay, and that'll be priced thereabouts, give or take, at about 250. I'll give you a range of like 180 to maybe 280, give or take. So that could be a thesis for nice trading setup. In the live trade rooms, usually those don't end until about 12:30, so we have hours and hours and hours, and so we'd go into that as well. We have an unfilled gap here too. Now at this level, of course, we gapped up today. So I feel like throwing up because I stopped out right there stupidly. Looking like a fool here. And SPX is my jam. And we're fighting right now. All right, unfilled gap here noted. Low one day view up. Trying to break down lower. On this NVIDIA, looking like it's trying to do a little something here. It's going against the SPY grind. Shop trying to set up. Shop breakaway gap, Uber. At earnings, literally nothing. And then Celsius. This thing pumped. This thing's interesting. I'd recommend you put some Celsius on your radar. It's coming into a low stage here, low stage one. It's trying to work itself out. I know during COVID times and earlier in this year, not COVID times, earlier in this year, that this thing pumped up. So this is a breakaway gap here. You could throw a earnings view up on this. See, similarly to Microsoft, where we're trying to fill this gap just a little bit in Amazon. All right, and not in Amazon. In Amazon and Microsoft as well. Amazon gap down, move up, but Microsoft gapped up, and it's kind of filling that a little bit. So you pull a VWAP on the earnings, and right now we're kind of. I already did this. Where are we on Microsoft? Let me see. And right now it's a little annoying in SPYs and S&P futures, just due to because we're at some kind of intermediate level that even Rush was mentioning there too. It's 6 minute, right? And so you can have a little bit of a. It's kind of annoying right now. So because I messed up a little bit of SPX again for the second day in a row, I'm not too happy about that. We could have a little bit of a bounce up. So just be careful trying to chase a little bit of price down here. We could have a fall through. If you're already short, good, but just be careful because we could have a little bit of a bump up into a mean revert on a correction wave here. I just want the intermediate level. Okay, so if we do flush down, I'm going to have to take the reaction on this flush down into the 50, 63.50 that we just talked about, right? Picking up the 63.80 strike call. And Microsoft, in regard to Microsoft, using the VWAP as, it's funny, every day people ask me about UNH, Lilly, Lulu, top 30. Never fails. So there's the I will check that out. Yes, sir. There's the earnings day, right? When we gapped up here, so you can run a earnings VWAP. And what you can do is front side entry new lows into demand, right? But this is pretty high up here. But Celsius, you can do the same thing. let that earnings go, right? So Celsius, I bring up Celsius. Now Celsius is coming from a stage, a low stage, and trying to align up here with a breakaway gap off of earnings. Okay, so like for example, look at this, like breakaway gap on earnings, right? So for example, this is a gap up. Okay, we pulled that, what's called fade view up, but I'll just make this kind of like a gray. This would be earnings view up. If I just kept that pin there just for a moment, okay, and you can still keep that. So we've grinded lower, we actually filled the earnings gap, and then you see over here, we started to really, the buyers came in, positive TFG, and then we had a nice pop above that earnings view up right there. Okay, so we can do the same thing here where we have another breakaway earnings gap right here. Okay, and then I have what, a couple days, right? Because earnings every 3 months, right? So we had a gap up, came down, right, low range, dipped in. You have a little more of alignment here above the earnings VWAP. Okay, and this next earnings didn't really do much here. Okay, remaining above that, and we have a gap up here. Got the earnings, right? You can front side as we dip down. Front side entry into getting some bullish trades as we get a little bit below the earnings VWAP, and then so two execution styles here. You can front side entry into this, as we come lower into just previous breakout levels here. All right, and then let's say we do kind of drop over the next day or two or a week or two, pull that view up, and it'll kind of slope down a little bit, and then as we start to revert and come back up, potentially if that's going to happen, start to snap back above the earnings view up. Case in point right here as a thesis. Okay, got more alignment there. So great. Sometimes you get these big breakaway gaps here, and coming from a low stage. My phantoms will know. Stein-Weinstein stages 1 through 4. All right, there's a thesis there. Oh man, I'm embarrassed right now on SPX. They're cooking, Wahlberg. They're cooking, brother. From 3 to 7. Stop myself up by 10 cents. There you go. Typically not the case. Doink. ANF trying to wake up. ANF pumps. That went on a crazy pump 2024. I end up trying to do some things here. I'm trying to rotate. Trying to rotate here. It's getting interesting. That's a stock that likes to go on some pumps. All right, we're at the 50 handle on SPX, yeah? Right on the 30-minute and also the 1 hour bar close. All right, so what are those 63.80s priced at the moment? I'll check that. Just making sure we still have validity here. Yeah, Mark, coin's in like a weird spot. I know you already know if you're looking at the chart. I already know you know the deal. Kind of a weird spot, probably where it's at. So just be, pick your spots kindly, rightly. It's in a little weird spot there. And I own coin in my long-term portfolio. That thing dipped lower, which is good because I want to, get more. So this note here, that's still there. Let me see if I pick up the SPX. We were talking about the 80, 85. Those are going for 80, 85. Like 310ish. Anybody pick these up a little bit more cheaper? Like maybe 280, $3. Didn't quite hit the gamma. Didn't quite hit 50s. SPX, yeah, basically. All right, so if you pick up the ones that we spoke about, the 6380 or the 6385, these are the prices here. All right, so I'll pick up the 85 here, just for you folks, just to keep the risk a bit more smaller. All right. Let's pick up the 85. Strike, call, SPX. So it's TP from puts. Buy, get out. This is going to be TP from puts. Bearish, very bearish. And then this is a front side long call bullish. You see, fade view, I got broken down there, low. I can fill the gap here today too, so I'm not happy how I stopped myself out there. Those are printing right now. All right, so I don't like the well. Let me be more positive. I don't like the way I'm positioning myself on SPX right now at the moment. Could be a lot better. Let's see, NASDAQ, trap. See you, Ben. Da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, kind of freaky, Mark. What's my price on Tessie? It's for like 2 something. What's the strike? 325. If you can fathom the total premium loss, I do like the if you can hold these for maybe tomorrow, because that's what most likely I'm going to do. Here's why. Where are you, Tesla? There you go. So it's been the annoying thing about Tesla has been in this massive range on the monthlies, right, and even on the weeklies, up down, getting really pinched. But if you notice, just like Paul Tudor Jones, y'all need to know who he is, right? He's one of the greatest traders of all time, right? Paul Tudor Jones, $1 billion trade, 1987. He loves that 200 period moving average on the daily. That's his filtration, one of his filtration processes, right? So if you notice, if I would ask y'all just really briefly, right, like almost like a 2-year-old, right? Are we still spending more time above or more time below that 200 period moving average right here? We're still trying to trade a little more above that, right? So of course Tesla's in a little bit of a pinch triangle. I'm sure everybody in trading views drawing these triangles here and right, being cool and like, yeah, right, yes, technical analysis. Get my Discord, right? Here's a cool triangle. But here's the thing. We have this what's called so we drop down, right? We can't really sustain below that daily 200 period moving average, and the 20 is above the 200, 20 is above the 200, right? So on and so forth. We're getting pitched, great. Okay, 200 period moving average here, right? And you have drop, of course. Then we had 2 bars, kind of like little doji bars hovering above here. And then yesterday put in what's called a belt hold bar, right off at or around the location of a flat 200 period moving average. Similarly to when I was expressing this view over here, where almost similar setup. We had like little doji bars here, came off the drop, belt hold bar here, right? And so if you remember, if you go back even to some of the recordings on 710, I don't know if I was on YouTube or not, or whatever 710 was. Okay, I mentioned like this is a belt hold bar. This is where we really want to kind of work on this because this is a bar that could potentially have some continuation off of that 200 period moving average. Okay, so somebody said that Tesla had some supply in here on daily supply, and they are absolutely correct, right? Absolutely correct, because we have demand and supply above and below. And what's happening to this price action right now is, okay, we're trying to rally up, okay, but we're getting into a supply, we're coming down, but we're trying to demand lower. And so we're getting pinched, right? Does that make sense? But I want to put the probabilities in my favor, not just guess where this is going to break up or down, right? Forget politics, forget all this stuff, right? But just filtration processes. This is still going to be, if I can give you one word answer here, watch this. I go to Market Watch here, right? And I go to quotes. I have a couple things here. Let's just code it. This is very simple stuff here. This is not super intense code by any stretch of the means here. But if I were to go into Tesla is in discretionaries, and if I were to look at the filtration process of a monthly, weekly, and daily, what's called moving average stack. Okay, where the 20 EMA is above, okay, the 200, so on and so forth. That is all going to be bullish, or the case to be bullish, right? So that said, you get to 20 above the 200, 20 above the 200, 20 above the 200 across the board, so on and so forth, giving us more probability that this is going to potentially break into the upside with the overall higher time frame trend. Now that could be wrong, because we could just base break and snap potentially lower, and that could be the case too, right? But so far, if we would look at yesterday, today being Thursday, yesterday being Wednesday, of course, today being Thursday, okay, tomorrow being Friday, what I have right now, still, as you can see here, is the Tesla 325 strike call, right? And now these are floating down on me right now. Okay, now we already TP'd couple up here, right? Shout out to the team as well that that helped us there. Okay, now if I can, if I hold these, right, I'm only going to lose another $135 worst case scenario. Okay, so I got 325. The next thing I need to check is to make sure, is that even realistic for that to be potentially, potentially in the money, potentially tomorrow, in the event that Tesla does go up and this trade is going to be potentially right. And if I look at 325, indeed it is, right? It's right there. So 325 is inside of that supply zone. ATR, average true range on a daily, is about 10. So even if we closed here, hypothetically, like right now, Tesla on average moves about 10 points a day. I mean, if we close at 318, is 325 in the realistic range, probable range of Tesla? The answer would be yes, right? So I'm not holding like a 360 strike call saying, you don't think this is going to come and work out? No, I got the 325 right there. So I'm going for a $1.30 if remaining. So if you wanted to cut your loss because you don't like how it's acting right now, you could. But if you're playing kind of the higher time frames as well, albeit it's very, 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 very rangy, but there is a setup there because this is going to be a belt hold bar off that 200 PA moving average. Okay. Now, just because it worked over here, we had some beautiful fall through. I remember with the team, we were hyper focusing on Tesla around this area here. This doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to happen again all the way over here. But the more that this gets pinched, the more higher probability that if this does really want to break out, all right, this is giving us a clue that the buyers are a bit more in control based off yesterday's close off that rising 20 PA moving average. Oh, and by the way, we do have our good friend Paul Tudor Jones on our back here too as well because he loves that daily 200 PA moving average, which is hovering right here. Okay, so he'd still be filtration long going into this potential breakout. And Paul Tudor Jones is wrong too. All right, every good trader is wrong with particular trades, setups, investments, so on and so forth. So that's the skinny on some Tesla there, and that's how I'm going to be personally managing it. Okay, my fills are what, like 260, right, for the 325 strike, and we'll see. We'll see. Right now it's floating down. So if you don't feel comfortable, you can cut your loss right now. I already cut a loss that was not great because I did not follow my rules on SPX. So therefore, I'm going to go through my rules there, stick to the trade plan, stick to the setup, and I'm going to be working off that bell hold bar here for today. Okay, carrying all those calls. Okay, and I don't know, Tesla might be able to give us another potential setup later today as well. It's just completely sideways right now. But hopefully that helped. All right. All right, cool. Let me check some internals. Great question, Turner. Typhoon Turner. Why have you done so bad on SPX this week? Well, I haven't done really that. Like, I haven't really taken like big loss or anything like that. It's like a point here, 2 points there, a point there, but mainly my execution, personally myself. Like today, publicly right there, you see right here, I didn't follow my rule. So that's my fault where I usually let the market take out a structure level to stop me out. But I clicked the button and stopped myself out prematurely. That's my fault. Dollar risk, right? But it still sucks because the opportunity cost, right? Because those things ripped up to $7 from $3 print. So I just missed out on an opportunity. I lost $1.50, give or take, but I just gave up 3-4 points, right? So that's not great. And then last week, I did beautifully on it. The only thing is I got too excited on Thursday, or was it Friday? Thursday or Friday? One of the, I think it was Friday. And I just started too early on the front side. I ended up catching the bottom on SPX. So it's not like I'm doing bad on it. It's just I started too early on that front side entry. So that's another little bit of mistake there. Now, the good thing is what I did was I pyramided it in, right? So my position sizing was good on that. But again, that could have been a trade where if I had been a little bit more patient and followed my rules a little bit more strictly and not got like so excited with that negative gets, then I probably would have, executed it a bit better, a lot better to have, a really good, we caught the Friday low, literally, but that was my third or fourth add-in, and that ended up working out. But because I started so early, it kind of messed up my average fill and my skew because I had 3 different strikes if you were around the recording on Friday. So really, it's not about. It's just I'm being impatient on some things, and then I'm not being patient. That's a my issue, right? But as long as you're not letting things, and I'm going to fix that no matter what, because that's something that I can easily just control. Okay, get back to the process and the rules. But this is a good talk here because it's true, right? Even after doing this for 15 years, could you still make an execution error? Right? My mentor has been trading for over 30-something years, 38 years, 39 years, and he'll even talk if you talk to that guy, he'll tell you like, hey man, I've been doing this for 30+ years, man. And every once in a while, I'll make a mistake here and there. Right? But keep them small, all right, and fix them immediately, right? Fix them immediately. So tomorrow I'm not going to get excited. I'm just going to chill. All right? And actually, if you see how I am, the more calm, cool, relaxed I am, and I'm just following process, and I do relax, guys. It didn't break any structure. The better it is. So always just get back to fundamental. And I don't mean fundamentals. Not in like I'm talking about cash flow statements, income statements. I'm talking about like in basketball. Don't forget the fundamentals: dribbling, crossing over, rebounding, boxing out. Those are the fundamentals that every player should have. So I'm talking about fundamentals in terms of execution. Execution. So get back to the simple fundamentals, right? So if you're having a bad game in basketball or a bad game in football, whatever sport you play, right? What does the coach tell you to do, right? Calm down, get back to what you trained, get back to what you taught. Okay, forget that bad game. Tomorrow we got a new game, and let's get back on track. So that's it. And it's not like I took a major loss, like I lost like a credit spread, like I took a 30, 40 point loss, right? I'm taking $1, $2 hits here and there, but I'm taking those hits with execution mistakes, and I'm giving up some of the opportunity cost. Okay, because those trades are awesome. Okay, does that make sense? All right. And then what happened as a trader, no matter what, and humbly speaking, too. I'm coming off of like an insane summer so far, like June and July, just insane. All right, so even on this weekend, I was feeling a little sick. This week, I was feeling some sickness. This weekend, my kids got me sick, but while my brain's not as active because I'm just like trying to rest in my for my body so I can get myself good. I'm literally thinking in my head, and I probably I'm not really such a superstitious guy, but in my head I'm like, man, because I'm looking at the end of the month because this is now August, right? And I'm like, man, I'm due for a bit of a drawdown because I'm kind of ripping shit up, right, in a good way. So I'm kind of due for a drawdown. I must have jinxed myself or something like that because then I started getting too excited in SPX with the high volatility. So I'm just gonna calm my ass down. That's all. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Vic's creeping. Vic's creep. Great question. All right. Yeah, Joe Frank, a little funky. Now this negative GEX did fall through here, of course. Again, just wasn't patient enough on it. All right, but now we got this positive gamma note 6350, right? Amazon pushing back. All right, so yeah, Nick Claus going Apex. This stupid ass sickness kind of took me off a little bit of the rail over the weekend and early part this week. But yes, sir, I'm looking to start that and bring that up with y'all most likely next week. I was hoping to get that in with you folks this week, but sickness and bacteria had other plans. All right, so what can we do to these long calls here? A little bit of a bounce here, right? So we can begin to TP these a bit here, right? Not a lot here, but so far we're starting to rotate a little bit here. Is this going to be some legs or not? Not sure, but for right now we got some. Take a little, and I'm not going to be able to be here to manage this whole thing with you folks, but a little bit of a pop here. Nothing crazy at all here. But let's see if we can get some kind of falter on this at that level. That fill. That fill there too. Mean Dough Mochi. Okay, I go Microsoft. Let's hit it. Go F yourself. What? Okay, somebody's mad. If you have a trading setup, take it, brother. Why do you need other people to be with you? What is your need to have crowd sourcing around you? Be independent. Bottom picking at the moment, not great. So looking like it's equal to low here. Probably most likely a new low coming in here pending. New fade view up here. Somebody mentioned VIX creeping. All right, new low pending here. Gap. And looks like S&Ps might want to gun for this G-trap level here. VIX is indeed creeping. Is it really? Solo? Is it really? Man, how on God's earth I cut myself out of those SPX puts is beyond me. Oh my God. This is ADD, just straight south. VIX on VIX up. All right, okay, we just had a TED Talk on that. All right. Oh, Solo, I got, I got you, brother. I got you, man. Nah. It's been well. I'm gonna see. I wish I could pull out of that. Pull some out. I'm gonna G trap the shit out of that. G trap central and futures apex. I'm gonna set pendings on all the A plus A1 G trap levels, and then I'll scalp tape as I trade SPX and like Qs and indexes and some individual tickers. So you'll see that. So I'll have two plans of attack. The G traps, just pendings sets put in, and so essentially, my thought process here is going to be setting up these G traps, but not just trading with SPX, Qs, and SPYs, and obviously working from index to individual down to individual tickers. But I'm going to, and I used to do this a lot too. I used to trade, I used to trade live in the flesh with people, right? And one of the things I used to do is have, and they would see I would place all the futures trades, and then we would go in there. I started a little bit more earlier, place all the futures trades, G traps on like Nasdaq, S&P, maybe some gold, and then we go through the process and trade the individual tickers along with the indexes, SPYs, Qs, and S&Ps. So I'm gonna get back to doing that. Come on, it's frozen. And so my thought process is to just show y'all. It's like, okay, here's the level of the G trap here, but I'm going to be setting up the orders, right? Setting up the orders, and I think I'm going to start to do that in Trading View. So maybe in the next week or two, hoping to get that cooking here for us. All right. All right, and this would be one of them, right? This would be one of them, right? Pace a limit order pending 6355. Right. What was that in the SPX? Because we might be fishing out that level of a G trap lower on the other side now. No, we still haven't broke the 50 handle. We have this unfilled gap, all this positive gamma node. Okay, so you can see, yes, this is what I'm talking about now. I'm trying to be a bottom picker here on the SPX with these calls here, right? And then they're floating down a little bit here. All right, now it will take some time to potentially work out. Got the 85, which is up here. All right, but if we do kind of flush out, because right now it's looking like this bad boy, even with internals. You know, it's kind of setting up a little bit there for a bit more of a flush lower, right? VIX on VIX higher. But we haven't broken yet, right? We haven't broken yet. So on that. So just make sure, because I'm not going to be here to spend the whole time with y'all to manage this, but keep an eye on that S&P futures 55 handle, 6355. And that's going to be SPX 6330 down to 6325. Someone also mentioned how this is also going to be weekly VWAPs down here as well. All right, and then the equivalency in that NASDAQ futures would be the G trap, because these are all levels inside of the Globex high, Globex low. So Mark Wahlberg is looking at the 23,500 for a quick little spike down lower into this level, little baby level right there. That's within the Globex high, Globex low. You know, that's something there. Not gonna be wrong there, right? If this VIX continues higher and VIX on VIX goes higher and right, etc. Just remember that Globex low right there. There goes that decent level of a G trap, because this is the first one that would qualify for a G trap. It's below the Globex low here. All right, 23,295, right? All right, so that'll be the equivalency in the NASDAQ to the S&P. I'm not sure if we're going to get down there, but definitely noteworthy. And we still have to just keep an eye on this. Gamma node here, right? See if anything changed. I see a question to clause. This is market maker bought put for bought put positive gamma as prices are going down, and negative delta is increasing, so they have to buy to offset. We got some suppressive charm here. So I don't know. This gamma node right here is pretty significant. It's looking like it wants to clip lower off of it right now. All right, we're clipping lower off of that right now. So that what was it? G trap at 25-ish. All right, but the right side to be on right now is what, folks? Bearish TPing from puts, bearish, right? TPing from bearish trades, TP. All right. Will you put your stop on the limit order on S&P or NASDAQ? There's no daily lows in here. Turner, I don't know. It's not done yet, brother. It's not done yet. That gamma node still hasn't broken. So I'm not sure. It's not done yet. It's still not complete. So we'll see. The stop loss on this one would be. I want to give myself some space. Especially on a swipe. So I'm gonna be widening that. I would widen that up just a little bit. I want to have that little level right below there to protect that. So you're probably talking about from 55 to maybe 40. Okay, what I would do is scale. Even if you're trading E-minis, you could break them down into micros, and I'd scale in to give my average fill. So like 55, 50. And my last scale will be like 47s, give or take. Stop loss on everything, 1 point below 40, which would be 39. And so that's what it will kind of look like here. All right, does that make sense? Does a gap up or down on the VIX matter like a 2 minute? I would assume yes, but no, the VIX is a little different. Yeah, because typically like overnight, like VIX will be like up or down overnight, and so those gaps. I'm not looking like a gap fill or anything like that. It's more of a gauge. But yeah, sometimes often you have like a big gap up or a bigger gap down in VIX, and so I want to make a note of that, right? As you can see on the charts. So where are we, right? For example, his VIX. So I just changed this up. I gotta give you all the link on this new one here. So yeah, we had a gap down, and like VIX was hovering down. As you can see, VIX is sustaining up above its overnight high, right? So far. But yeah, that gap down. So like I have the overnight high, overnight low, and then you can always make a note too of the gaps, like the gap on that. But again, VIX is more like a gauge. What is it doing overall? What is it doing overall? Right now we are what? VIX is up about 1.25%, which is nothing crazy, right? It's not, a 10, 20% VIX up. That would be markets getting slapped lower, right? Pretty probably aggressively. But VIX is up off of their overnight high and lows, and it's been up, and it's been sustaining a bit of a higher high, high low. So in order for those long calls in SPX, that bottom pick feed right there at the that Turner is so like, we're taking another loss on SPX, bro. Sorry, bro. I had 50 winning trades. I got 3 losers this week. Sorry, brother. Sorry. But VIX would have to come down lower, all right, for that positive gamma node at 50 to potentially put in some kind of floor for the market to have some kind of move up, right? At least maybe a VWAP test at some point for today. All right, does that make sense? But if this continues to make higher lows, man, that G trap on S&P futures is probably going to be coming to light, coming to a setup later. Okay, which I'm gonna have to take another trading setup where if I take another loss on SPX like $1 or $2, keep my losses small. You got to keep going, right? Of course, I told y'all. I admittedly made that mistake, cut myself out of that too short there, right? And now I find myself working the other side of it, which is not ideal. All right. It's all right, Mark Wahlberg, bro. I'm just messing with Turner, bro. It's Mark Wahlberg. Before I got my back, it's all crazy. He's a crazy dude. But yes, Turner, bro, if I take another loss of a point and a point and a half, I'm okay with that. Okay, because as a trader, okay, you have to be able to have a couple losers in a row and get you and continue to take the next trading set up. All right. Yes. All right. That's okay. All right. All right. Cool. Um. I gotta take it on my own fakey breaky bar. Fired. All right, set up that G trap, folks. I'd recommend. All right. Turner, you just playing semantics now, dude. I got no time for that bullshit, man. Semantics. All right, folks. Went over time here, I guess. Am I overlapping? I think Mr. Green did Mr. Green change his? I don't know. I think I'm overlapping. I'm not sure. But I'm gonna continue to do this. I know in the live chat, in the chat and WhatsApp, they'll be sending these updates here on Xbot and options depth. All right. But looks like markets want to. Looks like total premium loss, Turner, which I mentioned, brother. Right. So it'd be ideal if you could price these out for a total premium loss on that. All right, for the option, total premium loss. But for the future, like when we're futures level, which we're not in yet because I'm waiting for the Globex trap, as aforementioned, right? That would be 63.39. Does that make sense? Turner and team. Cool. Yeah. All right. Because here's the thing, right? See how I kind of messed up there with that, right? Which we just talked about, right? Now down here, what's happening? We're at Globex lows, right? We might not even get down. Could there be a parallel universe, where we don't even get down below to this 63.55? Maybe we take a little bit of a dip right below that Globex low right there for the trap. And then like, oh, let me stop out of these calls. Let me stop out of these calls now, right? And then I stop myself out at the bottom, break another rule here. And then later in the day, guess what? We're trading on VWAP up here. Right? Does that make sense? You see what I'm saying? Right, so that's why I mentioned, like, okay, on this positive gamma node down here at the 50 handle SPX, right? SPX 6350 handle, that positive gamma node. I said, okay, we're trying to pick a bottom here, which is not ideal. I'd much rather better off being TPing from puts here, maybe waiting for a new liquidity fresher on the Globex trap. But I could take a stab here. I would suggest to maybe keep your get a contract that you can that's not too far away from the 63, 80, 85 handle on SPX. I think I got the 85, right? Which is 5 points above the 80. But I said I don't want to cut myself out, stop loss down here, okay? And then I take like a point loss or a point and a half loss, and then next thing you know, an hour later, Turner's like, hey, bro, this thing is printing right now, right? And you cut it out down at the bottom here, okay? So I'm going to work on this a little bit here, okay? If we do swipe lower, those calls indeed will probably be a lot lower. They might be probably printing like 50 cents, maybe 60 cents. But as mentioned, you have to be okay with having that total premium loss, okay? long day. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but we've had some y'all know this market's still in an overall bull market, and obviously the morning is a little heavy here. Okay, but those G traps are fierce, right? Those G traps are fierce. And when those G traps break lower on these swipe lowers, trust those levels here, okay, and just continue to trade that plan. All right, that's all you can do. That's all you can do, folks. That's all you can do. All right. All right, cool. I gotta piss, grab some more coffee. I'll be with y'all, God willing, tomorrow morning from the live trade room, of course. And today's Thursdays, right? So we will be in class, God willing, later today as well. Holding those Teslas as mentioned, right? We talked about that too. This is all recorded. So if you need to recap, go to YouTube, fast forward, rewind, do as you need fit, put me on mute, whatever you got to do. If you want to learn a little bit more about this, go to TradePhantoms.com. This is where everybody started here. Click on register. Name, email, great. Today being Thursday the 7th, that's tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And here's the agenda, how markets will work. Up, down, sideways, right? All professional traders, multi-direction, up, down, sideways, small account, large account, wealth, all the way to short-term trading, scalping, options, and futures, all the way to long-term wealth management. And we got basically even crypto, right? So all one-stop shop for all assets. Mr. Black, Mr. Green will host that. Sometimes both of them will help each other out in there. And now that said, just be patient, grind lower. Not much of a catalyst out, so just trade safe for the rest of the day. Apologize on the SPX mistake. Tomorrow, that's not happening. Tomorrow, it's not happening. For sure. All right, folks. God bless. Take care. Blue out.